How do you feel about a 4-day work week?
Working a 5-day work week just makes life seem so much more pointless. By the time I get the other things I need to do, grocery shopping, appointments, etc. done, it's Sunday night. A 4-day work week might give me time to play the piano I bought to combat depression. And #X200B. Edit, thanks for all the love, guys. I really needed it. My employer gives us every other Friday off. We work 80 hours over 9 days, MTH. It's really helpful to have those Fridays to schedule appointments, and I have less desire to burn PTO throughout the year just to take a much needed Friday off through the end of October. I had only used 2.5 PTO hours for the year, mostly for doctor's visits. The only real downside is that on the Fridays that we do work, nobody wants to do anything.
IDK, I'd rather just not work at all.
Want it.
It wouldn't work for me. I work at an animal hospital, open 7 days a week, and there's not enough of us to go around. And the company would never hire enough people to cover for a 4-day work week.
I feel that 3 days off in a row actually feels like 2 days off. And 2 days of in a row actually feels like 1 day off.
I think economists have been predicting it for literally over 100 years, and the only reasons that we still work 40-hour, 5-day-a-week jobs are corporate greed and the obsessive culture of work prevalent in the US and many other Western nations. I've been dreaming about everyone, besides emergency responders OFC, having Wednesdays consistently off. That would be an absolute dream, and the health benefits of it, mentally as well as physically, would be well worth it, even to employers, even if they don't try to force their employees to make up for that time by working longer on other days. I believe that in many professions, the profits they're lost by giving people another day off midweek would more than pay for themselves in employee satisfaction, loyalty, motivation, and less need for medical leave. I have thoughts on emergency responders and businesses that organize themselves around people having free time too, but yeah. Let it be just said that there are very, very few people in the world who truly need to go shopping at 8 p.m. on a Saturday.
I work healthcare. Specifically public health. People stay 6-7 days a week.
I wouldn't mind it.
Reddit, how do you feel? Popular Reddit belief. Wait, all of you love it, what a surprise.
Provided there's no drop in salary, fucking brilliant.
I work 5 2-hour days, plus 3 25-hour shifts per month. I'm fucking exhausted.
Long overdue. No point in being in the office 40 hours plus per week.
As a business owner, I have thought about implementing this, but the productivity and scheduling definitely worries me. It's a warehouse, so having it closed for 1 day isn't acceptable, as that means people wouldn't receive their shipments in time. The other thing that worries me is that the extra 2 hours people would be working the remaining days wouldn't be as productive as coming in the morning on Friday and starting the day fresh. I feel like 10-hour days would drain a lot of people. I have spoken to a couple employees from other companies who didn't know I had my own business and asked them if they think a 4-day week would make them more productive. They said no, which made me worry that implementing it would make things inefficient for my business. It's the kind of thing where you can't implement it and then roll back without some backlash. Employees' happiness is important to me, but so is the productivity and efficiency of my business. I have seen the study for Japan and Microsoft, but that country in general is very productive, has a completely different work ethic, and Microsoft usually hires top of the top talent, so the demographic seems a bit skewed. IMO. Edit, grammar.
Life would be that much better. I would have somewhere around 50 extra days a year to do all the yard work and home projects that I don't want to spend all weekend doing.
My BF works 4/10s and it's a total game changer. It's adjusted his schedule so he wakes up at earlier hours on his days off, which gives him more day in his day, on top of already having an extra one. I'm self-employed and I try to have all my work done by Fridays, so we usually get 3-day weekends together, which also makes taking short trips easier without missing any work. It also opens up a weekday for him to do certain things that have more limited hours on weekends, like appointments and whatnot. Edit, typo.
As long as it is 4 to 8 hour days with no change in pay. I can get the same amount of work done in 32 hours as I get done in 40.
Reddit has already shown us that there will be a few people who will go in on an optional 5th day for some extra cash, and then working 5 by 10 hours a week will slowly become the norm.
Given that we now have more people in the workforce and supposedly more productivity because of automation, we ought to be dropping down to 32-hour weeks to compensate for the changes in our household structures.
I would do some or all of the following: cook more, play more competitive video games, join a band, play dodgeball, go to the doctor, dentist once in a while, travel out of state more often. I not only think it would be great, I think we should go further and eliminate required work hours for certain jobs altogether. Most office jobs can easily be done from home with a phone and a working internet connection. There's no reason to force people to commute and sit on a cubicle for hours and hours every week just so bosses can make sure they're working. That's 1919 thinking, not 2019 thinking. When you hire me, you should pay me X amount of dollars for Y amount of work. Whether it takes me 12 hours a week or 54 hours a week to get it done, my salary X never changes. And any free time is my own.
What management never understands is that they are only getting 4 hours, maybe 6 hours of actual work. Whether they want us there for 8 or 10 hours, they are still only getting minimal production. Personally, I'd rather work 4 4-hour days, and get paid for 40 hours.
Hello. 4-day work week Haver here. It's wonderful and does have the benefits they say it does. My schedule is Monday 6 a 12 p, Tuesday to Thursday 6 a 6 p. While I don't get anything but basic self-care done Tuesday to Thursday, I have 3.5 days to unwind, go to appointments, run errands, and do chores. It's magical. I also have a chronic pain condition, so I can take a whole 2 days to rest if I need it, and still have a day off, and the second half of Monday to get stuff done. 10 out of 10.
I think it's less about 4-day work weeks, but more about work-life balance. For people that's already working more than 10 hours a day or no pay overtimes or working during holidays, working 4 days a week means very little.
I enjoy my 4-day work week. 10 hours a day is a little tiring, but I have no reason to complain. I do the same amount of work, and I get an extra day off. It's worth it.
I absolutely support it. There's so much evidence that backs the benefits up, but agree with the comments about lower paid workers just working more at other jobs. This system is good in theory for salaried workers, but not so much for hourlies, unless their wages were adjusted accordingly. I also think it would affect newer members entering the workforce. It's illegal to roll someone's pay back for doing the same job they've always done, in my country at least. Some conditions may apply, but what's to stop companies from hiring new entry levels at a percentage less? There would have to be regulation and laws against it. Cost of living doesn't go down just because your hours do.
Only worth it if you can get it in writing that you work no more than 10 hours. My last job was supposed to be like that, but they always ran for 12 hours each day.
To all the people who think that you'll have to work less, no, you won't. In order for this format to stay on if implemented, I'm pretty sure your productivity will have to rise and you'll have to cover 5 days of work in 4 days. However, science is on our side. I'd also love this. As studies have shown that people exposed to these conditions take less breaks, browse Facebook less, and are generally more efficient.
They talked about this in the 70s. Yay, everyone said. My dad did it. He worked 4 12+ hour days and took off Friday. Everyone else was like, if I work the 12 hours the 4 days plus another 12, I can make even more money. Yay.
I work 4 10s a week instead of the usual 8 5s, and I fucking love it. 2 extra hours each shift is easily worth the 3-day weekend. Feel like I actually get a break from work each week.
I work with people with special needs and developmental disabilities. 4-day work weeks wouldn't work in my field.
Used to do a 12-hour day 3 days a week. It was glorious.
As long as the pay still matches what I make now and I do have to work longer hours, I'd be thrilled.
This keeps coming up, and I'll keep getting buried, but I will keep saying it. A 4-day work week should be 4 8s, not 4 10s. For some people 4 10s is better than 5 8s, and that's fine. But nearly every study on productivity, happiness, flexibility, revenue, etc. that deals with a 4-day workweek studies 4 8s, not 4 10s. The entire theory is that 40-hour work weeks are excessive for many modern jobs. Cramming the same hours into fewer days completely misses the point.
Yo, I wish.
In terms of climate change, it'd be about 20% less CO2 emissions from commuters, which is nice.
I used to have 4-day work weeks for a couple of years. We got a new HR team that ended the 4-day work week to make work easier for themselves. I never got completely used to working 5 days again. And I don't think people realize how insane it is to spend 5 out of 7 days just working. I would probably hate Mondays less.
As long as it is 4 8-hour days. And not 4 10-hour days. I would like to see my family during the week.
I would gladly work 4 10-hour days to have an extra day off. 2-day weekends are too short. They're gone just as soon as you start to feel comfortable.
Not as good as I would feel about a 3-day work week.
Also, how do you feel about op asking questions that they know for a fact that virtually all Reddit agrees on but asks anyway for karma and attention? I did 4 10s for a while. I was so exhausted at the end of the 4th day I basically spent my 5th day recovering. I'm in IT Street, a small company now. I don't see them going to 32-hour weeks for us.
I have worked the whole spectrum. 5 8s, 4 10s, and 3 12s. I will never work 5 8s again. Ever. It is torture. I don't know how anyone gets anything done, especially in the United States where it's such a terrible offense to take a fucking day off. Worked 3 12s for a long time. Being stuck somewhere for 12 hours can be grueling, and I typically lose my focus around hour 7. I also typically spend an entire day recovering from the exhaustion of working for 12 hours straight. I work 4 10s now. I think it offers the most balance. On my 1 weekday off I feel like it's filled with chores and errands, and I would rather take that time to do something for myself, but it is what it is, and I think I'll just hate working 40 hours per week for the rest of my life no matter what.
A step in the right direction. 40 to 50 plus hour work week is inhumanly long.
My company switched to 4 10-hour days. We are diesel technicians and work 7 to 5:30. Half of us work Monday through Thursday and the other half work Tuesday through Friday. We have did this for over 2 years and we all love it. It is so nice to have a 3-day weekend every week. Another thing about it that is nice is if you doctor's appointment or something I can make it on a Monday and don't have to miss any work. Plus I forgot to mention having a 2-month, this helps out a ton. More time for me to be with my wife and daughter. And if there is a lot to do I can just come in on Monday and boom 10 hours of overtime.
Consider subscribing.